Hilary Rosen is a DNC advisor. She's a Democratic strategist, and she was on television recently and had these controversial comments to make about Mitt Romney's wife.
What you have is Mitt Romney running around the country saying, well, you know, my wife tells me that what women really care about are economic issues. And when I listen to my wife, that's what I'm hearing. Guess what? His wife has actually never worked a day in her life. She's never really dealt with the kinds of economic issues that a majority of the women in this country are facing in terms of how do we feed our kids, how do we send them to school, and how do we worry, and why do we worry about their future?
Oh, zinger! Never worked a day in her life. Now, of course, what happened? Outrage. Well, the Republicans love this because they want to pretend to be on the side of women. And they're much stronger in the demographic of housewives than they are in working women. So they jump in it. They're like, oh my God, how can the Democrats say this? This is such an affront to Ann Romney and all women who stay at home. So Ann Romney created a Twitter account just to make sure that she could respond to this. And she wrote, I made a choice to stay home and raise 5 boys. Believe me, it was hard work. Now, here's one of my initial reactions to this. First of all, no one's saying that it wasn't hard work. We're just saying that you haven't worked in a career, in a job. Now, that's what Hilary Rosen was saying, but I guess I'll back it up because it's a fact. Okay? Now, it doesn't mean that you never did hard work. I mean, you could have gone out and done a marathon. That's hard. You could have dug a ditch in your backyard. That's really hard. Okay? But were you at a job? No, you weren't at a job. That's what she's saying. And look, maybe you worked your way up as a family, and Romney, Mitt Romney worked at his job and you stayed at home, you raised these kids, and you should be commended for that. But she's not saying that. She's just saying you never worked. And then, of course, the Romneys became enormously wealthy. So, I mean, I don't know how many nannies she had to raise those kids. Maybe it was hard even with the nannies, etc. But for her to say, like, I can't believe you would say that I never worked when I, in fact, never worked. Okay, so now, of course, the Democrats got nervous immediately. So top strategist for the Obama campaign immediately tweeted out, Jim Messina said, quote, I could not disagree with Hilary Rosen any more strongly. Her comments were wrong and families should be off limits. She should apologize. In other words, it's not us. It's not us. We love housewives. We love women. You can't stay at home. We want you to vote for us. Yes, absolutely. Test. I can't believe she said that. By the way, families should be off limits, but since Mitt Romney is having this woman problem, in the latest poll, he's losing to Barack Obama by 19 points among women. One of their stated strategies in the campaign is to send out Ann Romney as a surrogate to talk about how great he is with women. Well, if she's a surrogate, you don't do below the belt attacks or anything like that. Don't talk about the kids, whatever. I mean, but she's out there making political points where you can't make a political point against her? Of course you can. That's ridiculous. And so, like, for example, when Michelle Obama gets attacked for ridiculous things that make no sense, oh, I can't believe she's trying to have kids stay fit. Well, or she's militant. One, it's either totally false, or two, it's not a rational thing. But if they want to attack her on a political point that she made, I think that's totally fair game. The wives of the presidents are incredibly relevant figures in their decision making. So now Hilary Rosen wants to clarify, so she says, but she also doubles down to some degree. In her next tweet, she says, I'm raising children too, but most young American women, we have to both earn a living and raise children. You know that, don't you? Now, I think that's totally true, and I think that's the point she was trying to drive at, which is, look, you think it's hard to raise kids by yourself? I hear you on that. I'm raising kids too. But try raising kids and going to work, especially if you're a single mother. Oh, that is so incredibly hard, and you don't get to take a break by riding your Austrian warbloods or whatever they are, right? Warmongers, the horses that Mitt Romney was talking about, like, oh, Ann sometimes has to take a break and, ride her horses. They're dressage horses. She has to work so hard. Okay, look, I'm sure she had raising 5 kids is tough, man. But not a lot of us get to have the luxury of not working at the same time, having plenty of staff to help with that, I imagine, and getting to ride dressage horses to relax in the middle. Now, nonetheless, Hilary Rosen goes on television now. Not a backpedal, but wait a minute, let me explain kind of moment here this morning. Let's watch.
Well, but this really isn't about stay-at-home moms versus working moms. It's about women in general. You know, I love stay-at-home moms, and I have nothing against them, and I support them all the time. What the good conversation here is does Mitt Romney have a record about women and a plan for women that helps working women and women struggling economically to find a better future? And the Republicans are making a very effective strategic decision today to attack me instead of talking about the issues that have been raised over the last few days.
All right, so the first point was comical. She was like, dude, I love stay-at-home moms. I don't know what you're talking about, man. I snuggle with stay-at-home moms all the time, right? So that was funny. I know she has to say it, but the way it came out was funny. The other 2 points are totally right. The real issue is, what are you doing for women? Legislatively. You know, are you taking away reproductive rights? Are you trying to help them by pushing for equal pay laws? By the way, on a conference call, Mitt Romney's advisors were asked, what is his view on Lilly Ledbetter, which was the one that the Republicans all voted against. There was only 2 Republican senators and only 3 Republican congressmen that voted in favor of it. And that act ensures equal pay for women, right? That's a simple way of explaining it, but that's the essence of the act. Now, Republicans hate that act, but now that Mitt Romney thinks he's passed the primaries, at first they're like, oh, shoot, how do we respond? So the advisors froze on the call. They said they didn't know his position and had to get back to him. They go talk to Mitt Romney, and Mitt Romney's like, talks to his pollster, I imagine, and he's like, are you crazy, man? We're 19 points down with women. Oh, I'm totally in favor of equal wages for women. Absolutely. No, look at me bucking the Republican Party. Come on. So that's why I wish they had asked him about it 2 weeks earlier. Because then, in the middle of the Republican primary, he would have been like, oh, yeah, women, fair pay? Hell no way! Santorum and Gingrich, those wusses, they're probably for fair pay. I'm for unfair pay. Unfortunately, he's already dismissed those guys, so he didn't get to say that on the record then.